In this video, we discuss a financial risk so dangerous that it can absolutely crush your net worth if you're not paying attention. And the worst part is that a lot of people don't see it coming. This is up next on Holy Schmidt.
Holy Schmidt!
If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Jeff. I'm a CPA turned author turned public speaker. I'm also the creator of the course Social Security Simplified. I started this channel in 2020, really at the request of my daughter. She saw me helping family members out with financial information. They were going through a tough time because of the time we were all going through. And she said, "Dad, if you can help them, can't you help others as well?" And with that, the channel was born. Today, we have over 400,000 subscribers, over 60 million views, over 5 million hours of watch time, over 450 videos, and we would love it if you become part of our YouTube family. Simply click subscribe and turn on notifications, and you'll be alerted the next time we post a video. We post about 3 times a week. Picture this. It's December 31st, 2025, and you're looking back on your year, and you see that your finances actually went down, despite the fact that markets actually went up 17%, and you don't know why. This happens to a lot of people, and no, the answer isn't inflation, although in this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate your own personal inflation. It's something more insidious. It came from a large number of small financial leaks that people can't generally see on their own. And because they can't see them on their own, they can't course correct. It happens every year. 2025 seemed to be a big year for a lot of people, but it happens every year if you're not paying attention. And I'm going to show you now how to identify those financial leaks. Think of financial leaks as small leaks in the pipes of your home. You don't really notice them until one day you look up and you see a brown spot on the ceiling, or you see that your floorboard has been warped because of a constant drip, drip, drip of something happening underneath the sink. Financial leaks are no different, and left unchecked, they will be the brown spot on your finances, and you won't know how they got there. But knowledge is power, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to identify some of those ugly brown spots called financial leaks so that you can keep them at bay. All right, let's jump into it. One of the most common financial leaks that people miss almost every time are increasing fixed costs. Now, you've got to be thinking, Jeff, fixed costs are fixed. They don't increase. Think about my mortgage. Think about my car payment. Yes, that's true for those fixed costs. But fixed costs do increase. Many of them do anyway. Typically, they're only fixed for a year or two, and then they slowly creep up. And when it happens, it's a bit of a surprise. You course correct and don't think about it again for a year or two. And this happens over and over again. Think about things like property taxes, your HOA fees, your IRMA surcharges, health insurance premiums, Medicare supplement premiums. You know what they're going to be next year, but you don't know what they're going to be 2 years from now. And this creates a big problem because when you think about variable expenses, you think about things you can control. You can turn the thermostat down so your heating bill is lower, your natural gas consumption is lower, or you can turn off the lights and your electricity bill goes down. But you can't turn off your property taxes. The worst part is that they're not directly captured in CPI, which means that they're not captured in your cost of living adjustment, at least not directly. For example, if you have rising property taxes, that's not captured, but rising rents are captured. So if you're a renter, you see it in your rents. If you're an owner, you don't see it. Rising health insurance costs also aren't captured because of the way that insurance is calculated. In order for the health insurance category to go up in the Consumer Price Index, you have to have your expenses increasing at a slower rate than your costs. So if you have a health insurance premium of $500 a month and your expenses were $400 a month, but they went up to $450, but your insurance premiums only went up to $525, that would be considered a decrease in your health insurance costs. Speaking of health insurance, let's talk about healthcare creep and how this can sneak up on you. Now, I know it doesn't feel like this, but health insurance coverage, medical coverage is better today than it has been ever for the average adult. This is despite the fact that chronic diseases are much higher than they were, say, 50 years ago. That's largely related to obesity, but that's the subject for a different video on a different channel. Despite the fact that risks have increased, people are still living longer. And this is because of improvements in medical technology. These are things like pharmaceuticals. Doctors are able to diagnose things earlier and deal with them more quickly. People are seeing healthcare providers much more regularly than they were in the past. And because they're seeing providers more often now than they saw them in the past, they have more costs, deductibles, and copays. Think about your own healthcare and say the last 20 years. How many times have you or somebody that you care about gone to an urgent care? Did you know that urgent care centers only came about, at least in mass, over the last 20 years or so? Before that, people wouldn't go to urgent care. They'd either go to the emergency room or they would stay at home and just suffer until it was over. I don't know about you, but as a kid, if I had the flu, if I was running a fever, my parents would just put me in bed, put a cold compress on my head, and check on me every few hours. If it lasted more than a few days, then they might do something about it. Today, people just go to the urgent care and they get a Z-Pack. Doctors' offices are busier than ever. Before, if you went to go see your doctor, it was for your annual physical or something that has been bothering you for quite a while, and you eventually decided to deal with it and get a referral. Today, people know that if they need to get something done, they go to their primary care physician to get the referral. They probably know who they're going to be referred to before the doctor makes the referral, and then they go and they deal with it. All of these cost money. They drive up the cost of health insurance, but they also drive up copays and deductibles. So the formula has changed for healthcare costs. If you're an employer, you simply adjust the amount of out-of-pocket that your employees pay, and that reduces the cost of your insurance. The next financial leak is poor tax consideration in financial withdrawals. Here's the truth about tax planning. Good tax planning takes a lot of work. You don't just show up on April 15th and say, here are my receipts. Can you do something with it? You have to set yourself up for success. Think about taking out a mortgage or planning for contributions to your retirement accounts. These have strong tax implications, but they aren't easy to do sometimes. You actually need to save the money for the down payment. And if you're making a contribution to your 401k, well, that's money that you can't spend today. It's set aside for tomorrow. One of the areas where people get it wrong is bad sequencing of withdrawals. This is a big issue for a lot of people. Tax coordination of withdrawals means that you pay less money if you take out funds from your retirement accounts in the correct order, and you lose money in terms of taxes if you take them out in the wrong order. I'm referring specifically to your taxable brokerage account, your tax-deferred account like your 401k or IRA, and your Roth. Get them in the right order, and you can do a lot of amazing things with your taxes. Get them in the wrong order, and you're going to be overpaying taxes. And that has a knock-on effect. It pushes retirees into higher tax brackets. It triggers IRMA surcharges, and it increases taxation on Social Security, in many cases anyway. The next thing is people don't understand their personal inflation. They think that inflation as a number reflects how they actually live. And the fact is, inflation is an amalgamation of millions and millions of data points. Not just you, but a lot of people who are buying things. And so your personal inflation is going to look different than your neighbor's personal inflation. One of the biggest complaints we see on this channel is that people say that their cost of living adjustment from Social Security is just wrong. And the fact is, if it's wrong, it's not that you've done something wrong. It's the fact that the cost of living adjustment is based on a whole population of people living in a lot of different regions. If you happen to have a different expense profile, if you happen to live in the wrong region, you're going to be spending more of your dollars on the things that you need to survive compared to the person that might be living in the state next door. If you want to track your personal inflation index, you can do it simply by going to Google and typing in personal inflation index, and there will be some great calculators that pop up in the 1 and 2 position. I don't want to mention names, frankly, because I don't want to advertise, but if you go to your search engine, you'll be able to find them pretty quickly. And of course, you can do it on a spreadsheet yourself, but frankly, it's better to use software. But if you are going to do it on a spreadsheet, the big categories are groceries, restaurants, rent or mortgage, utilities, the phone, internet, fuel, your car payment, your car maintenance, your car insurance, your home insurance, healthcare, clothes, recreation, computers, education, childcare, travel, and other. If you don't want to use a spreadsheet, by the way, there are personal financial planning software packages that do an incredible job. The one that I personally use and recommend on this channel, they're an affiliate of ours, is BOLDIN Personal Financial Planning Software. In fact, I was on BOLDIN this morning before I started filming this video, updating my plan for 2026. BOLDIN does a great job of not only tracking your personal inflation, but helping you set up a workable plan and achieving targets that you are setting for yourself. The best part, no spreadsheets. And this is important because spreadsheets are prone to errors. Oftentimes they don't talk with one another. And frankly, you have to construct a spreadsheet to achieve an outcome rather than just dropping data in a software program like BOLDIN. BOLDIN offers a free version and a paid version. I recommend the paid version because you can see the power of BOLDIN. And frankly, it's not that expensive. It's $12 a month paid annually. And you can try it free for 2 weeks before you decide to keep it. Simply go to go.boldin.com/Schmidt to get your 2 weeks free. The next issue is what I call decision fatigue. Now, at the beginning of this video, I talked about how fixed costs aren't really fixed. And a perfect example of this is what I call mobile phone bingo. For most people, their phone bill is a large part of their expenses. Sometimes it's tiny rate increases. Sometimes it's adding on additional lines. Sometimes you're traveling internationally and you have some international calls on there that just end up on the bill and you didn't expect them to be there. Whatever the case may be, your phone bill today is probably more expensive than it was a few years ago. Then one day you're watching television and you see an ad for a competitor that says $49 per line, unlimited calls. And you're thinking, why am I paying $79 per line? And you remember, like a lot of people do, that phone companies often drop the cost of the service if you call them and say you're going to switch. When you make that call, what's the first thing they do? They look up your account and they say, oh, Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith, you are on an old plan. We need to update your plan because you're paying for a plan we no longer offer. Now, two things go through my head at that time. The first is, why didn't you let me know that you're no longer offering a plan that I'm on? Because if you have a different plan, shouldn't you have told me about it? But the second is, I wonder how much money I can save by pushing here. And by the way, the reason that they didn't lower the cost of your plan more than likely is because they'd rather make more money off of you than less. And the fact is, the phone call to the phone company saying, I'm going to switch, basically is a notification to them that they need to do whatever they need to do to keep you, because if you leave, even if they just charge you a few dollars, you are almost a zero cost to them at that point, because whether your service area is 100,000 people or 101,000 people, you still have to pay for the same cell phone towers. They require approximately the same amount of electricity. The phone bill is digital, so it doesn't really cost anything for them to create it. So the additional revenue from one additional customer is pretty important, even if it's a low number. Now here's the question. When you picked up that phone and you called them, did you know, or at least did you suspect, that they were going to offer you a lower rate? Most people would say, yes, I thought that's what they would do. So you weren't surprised when they did it. And the reason that they knew is that they knew somebody else who did it, or they in fact did it themselves before. So if you knew the rate was going to go down, why did you wait for the television ad to signal to you that it was time to make the call? The reason is decision fatigue. It takes work and perhaps research, and you have a limited time. It's easier to put off the decision until next month, but next month becomes next year, and all of a sudden you've overpaid for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, and it's not just your phone company, it is a lot of different fixed cost bills. It happens when you see the ad on television. It happens when your spouse asks you why we're paying so much for cable or for the telephone or for electricity in markets that are deregulated. The point is, the question comes up or there's something that triggers a thought bubble, and all of a sudden you're making the call. Now think about all of those fixed costs that have gone up. Which ones can you shop? Medicare, the interest rate on your car, can you refinance that? I know it takes a bit of work, but that'll save you a lot of money. The numbers speak for themselves, but it is decision fatigue to determine which one comes next. What about variable costs? For those of you that have heating oil, is it time to check the competition to see what their rates are? Here in New York, heating oil can vary dramatically depending on who you call. If you live near the border, you can have a heating oil company in Connecticut or New Jersey as opposed to New York, and the difference can be massive. Is it time to switch gas stations? I know the one that you use is on the route, but is there one that's just off the route that'll save you 50 cents a gallon or more? What about grocery stores? Are there supplies that you purchase every month that you can acquire somewhere else? Decision fatigue is real, but if you can get past it, you can avoid some of the dripping of your financial leaks. I started this video by talking about some of the things that erode your finances over time. But the thing about erosion is that you don't really see it until you look at it in the rearview mirror, unless you are planning to look for it. Think about the Grand Canyon. At one point, it was a tiny little stream. Now it's not so tiny. Your finances are like that. And we human beings have a tendency to split how we think into urgent and not urgent. The urgent things get dealt with right away. The not urgent things get pushed aside. But frankly, a lot of times, the not urgent things are the most important things to deal with. If you like this video, check out that video, $120,000 gone from her IRA. Also, don't forget to check out BOLDIN, personal financial planning software. The link is in the description below and on the screen right in front of you. This is Jeff Schmidt, and I will see you in that video right there.